converge. I mean, the struggle of the feminism against concerning environment, many other new demands do not necessarily go into the same direction. So, in fact, they can, in many cases, even conflict with each other. And this is why they needed to be, in our view, articulated politically. And that is what was at stake, was the creation of a common will, we, and this required the determination of they. So I want to stress here something which I think is quite important, is that what is at stake in the creation of this collective will is a form of unity that respects diversity and that does not eliminate difference. Because of course, otherwise it will be a simple identity. It is only as far as the democratic differences, of all those social movements are opposed to forces or discourses that negate all of them, that those differences can be substituted for each other. And this is why the construction of a collective will requires the definition of an adversary. I mean, this is where our view is very different, for instance, from other views, also influenced by post-structuralism, particularly, for instance, by Foucault, because at the moment when we published, not even before the publication, when we worked on hegemony and socialist strategy, Foucault was very important among feminists, among different groups, in order to recognize the diversity of demand. But people influenced by Foucault were insisting that it was very important to leave all those demands to develop on their own. And they were against any form of trying to create a unity, because they were saying, well, if that is a way necessarily to negate the differences. So our view was different. We were saying, no, it is important to create a chain of equivalence, but of course to do it in a way that will not reduce this to question of homogeneous will, to create unity in diversity. In order to make this point clear, because I think politically is absolutely central, it is in fact something that is still going on today in our difference with Ard and Negri, in the way, for instance, in which they oppose the idea of the people to the idea of the multitude, because they say the people is necessarily, some kind of unity, homogeneous, and if we want to accept diversity, we need to think in terms of the multitude. Of course, here our view of the people is not some kind of essentialist people, but it's articulation, it's a common will, it's articulation of differences that respect those differences. But I would want to also compare our approach to another tendency, which is also, albeit in a different way, a reflection on the changes that happen, around the 60s, and the need for a new way of thinking politically, a way which, of course, is not, in my view, is even if they call it radical, is not really left. But I think you will understand better our approach when we compare it to the one put forward by Ulrich Beck and Anthony Giddens, in which again, the idea of the radical center, the need to rethink politics are after the 60s. Well, Beck and Giddens declare that the model of politics, structured around collective identities, has become hopelessly outdated due to the growth of individualism, and that it needs to be relinquished. According to them, we are now, and that, post-60s, in a second stage of modernity, which they call reflexive modernity. Our society, they say, has become post-traditional, and this calls for a drastic rethinking of the nature and aims of politics. A series of new resistance have emerged, which are grassroots-oriented, extra-parliamentary, and are not anymore linked to classes or to political parties. Their demand concern issues which cannot be expressed through traditional political ideologies, and they are not addressed to the political system. They take place in a variety of subsystems. We should now think in terms of life politics, which Giddens, for instance, opposes to the emancipative mode. As you can see, it is also a way to think, the difference between the traditional socialist model and the model that would be more adequate to thinking of the new situation. Life politics, the way they understand it, include, for instance, ecological question, but also the changing nature of work, the family, personal and cultural identity. While emancipatory politics, the old model, concern life, chance, and freedom from different type of constraint, life politics, which is the new type of politics which is needed, concern life decision about how we should live in a post-traditional world, where what used to be natural or traditional is now become open to choice. Giddens, for instance, argues that with the demise of the socialist model and the fact that there is, according to him, no alternative to capitalism anymore, the main dividing line between left and right has disappeared, and that most of the new problems arising in the context of the post-traditional society, i.e. all those issues concerning life politics, cannot be expressed anymore by the left-right framework. One can therefore expect the growing availability of what they call a dialogic democracy, where one is ready to listen and to debate with the other, and this both on the level of personal life and of the global order. Beck and Giddens believe that in the current state of what they call reflexive modernity or the second modernity, the adversarial model of politics has become obsolete, and that a democratization of democracy can take place without having to define an adversary. The main political question nowadays, for them, concern issues about adjudication between different lifestyle claims, about the extension of autonomy to all the spheres where dialogic democratization can be implemented in order to foster the development of reflexivity. They need to be decided by individuals, not by groups, and framed in terms of what Giddens called life politics and Beck called sub-politics. The democratic debate is envisaged as a dialogue between individuals whose aim is to create new solidarities and to extend the basis of active trust. Conflict can be pacified thanks to the opening up of a variety of public spheres where through dialogue people with very different interests will decide about the variety of issues which affect them and develop a relation of mutual tolerance, allowing them to live together. Of course, disagreement will exist, but they will not take an adversarial form. So their main argument is that in post-traditional societies, and the societies that are now after the 60s, we do not find any more collective identities constructed in terms of we-they, which means that political frontiers have dissipated. Partisan controversies have lost their relevance, and the past clarities of politics are no longer effective. And this is why the adversarial of politics, which they say was characteristic of the first modernity, the simple modernity, has become obsolete in the current stage of reflexive modernization and need to be discarded. Well, I want to insist it because there have been, in fact, some attempt to say that there is basically no difference between our project of radical and plural democracy and the Beck and Giddens third way politics. So I want to insist here that their democratizing of democracy should not be confounded with our project of radical and plural democracy. Although it's true that at first sight they might